frustrating second half and loss. To be up 6 and have things going our way at the half. And we were up 8 with the ball on a defensive rebound that we threw away with 7:53 left. They scored a layup. We get it back, and then we come down and turn over again on a bad shot, getting sped up by their press instead of having composure. We did not do a good job in the last 8 minutes of this game. And again, we got to get better at understanding time and score. I mean, we were in no hurry. Shouldn't have been with an 8-point lead to worry about going up 10. We just needed to be smart and take better care of the basketball. 10 turnovers in the second half and 24 points on our total of 16 turnovers scored on them by our opponent tonight was a huge stat. The other stat was, Girougi had 18 points in the second half. He killed us, did a great job. He's a very good player. Made a couple big threes, but did a lot of good things for him. Appleby made some big shots throughout the game. So give those two guys credit. In the second half, Tolu did a good job scoring for us. He had 17 points, 0 at the half, did much better in the second half, but we had 14 points out of the rest of the team. But, when you look at the percentages in the second half, we did not do a good job defensively, although some of them are obviously off of our 10 turnovers. They shot 54% from the field and almost 42% from three. And we fouled too much tonight. Too many fouls in both halves. Too many free throws tonight by our opponent. And late in the game, we had to give them some. But you look overall, they took 16 in the first half, 14 in the first half, 16 in the second half. Way too many fouls. Questions?
Paul Jones, get us started.
Coach, Shaq mentioned that you guys didn't really do a good job of moving the ball, and the ball got stuck on offense in the last 8 minutes. What did you see there?
Yeah, some of it was against the press. Some of it was, not attacking the 1-3-1 correctly. A couple times in the press, we did not attack correctly. Their goal was to try to get the ball out of Iverson's hands, and we need other guys to be able to step up and do a good job handling the ball when he doesn't have it.
Theo, go ahead.
Sure, Coach. You mentioned the scoring with Tolu there. What did you think of his game? Second straight game he's been able to play. How do you feel like he's doing trying to get some...
Well, I thought he did a much better second half. He had 0 rebounds at halftime, and I, implored him to do better. Some of us just say, he started practicing on Friday. He hasn't had a lot of time here to get back to his self. But hopefully that'll happen here in the next, few days and few games. The main thing is he's got to do a great job for us defensively too. And the big kid for Florida, Chipo, I don't know how to say his name. How do you say his name? Number 33. Yeah, he played big for him down the stretch. He had 8 points, I think, all of them in the second half, if I'm not mistaken.
John Sokoloff, go ahead for a couple.
Hey, Ben, you were mentioning, executing later in the game, the last 8 minutes. You guys need to do a better job knowing time and score. What's the best way to address that and move on from that in practice this week? Based on your coaching experience, what's kind of the best way?
The best way is to watch film. The best way is get experience. We've had 2 games now, Colorado State and this one tonight against NCAA tournament teams, where we have a lead with less than 8 minutes to go that we let slip away. When you look at that turnover, it led to layup. They outscored us from that point forward 15 in the last less than 8 minutes to go. That can't happen. So turnovers, execution. We missed the front end of a 1-on-1. You can't miss them when you're trying to, come back from a deficit. You got to be able to, make those plays.
Andy, go ahead for a couple.
Hey, Ben, was there an over-reliance on Iverson tonight? Is that kind of surprising given, it's been a pretty even effort kind of from the offense all season before this?
When you say over-reliance for him to take shots?
trying to get the ball into his hands for shots because I mean he had obviously a lot of passes and had dishes like that, but just
He had
not
five,
having
he
the
had
ball.
5 assists, 3 turnovers. I thought he did a good job. Had some great assists in the first half. Yeah, but when you have a point guard, you're getting it to him and he's making plays. I mean, we only had 11 assists tonight. He had 5 of them. But and another thing is, we've got to get more balance in our scoring. Like Garrison only taking 3 shots is crazy. I mean, he's got to take more shots than that. He's got to be aggressive to look to shoot when he gets the ball, and we need him to get more opportunity for him to take more shots. It was a very, they only took 45 shots tonight, and they scored 80 points because they got the line. We got to play without fouling. I mean, we had way too many fouls tonight, and like I said, in the first half they got 14 foul shots. Second half they got 16 foul shots. That's just 30 foul shots. When your opponent takes 30 foul shots, it's going to hard to beat them. 10 turnovers in the second half and too many fouls.
Was fatigue at all a factor in that? I mean, I know Shaq said, Florida kind of wanted it more or whatever, and we did see Iverson miss a free throw when he normally doesn't miss a front of a one-on-one. Was fatigue at all kind of a factor?
Yeah, it may have been, and I've got to use Rocket more minutes at the guard and spell each of those guys a few more minutes. They should be at about 32, 33, and they were like at 35.
Steph, go ahead.
You mentioned, late in the game there where they were kind of denying Iverson the ball a bit. Is that a situation where you expect kind of Shaq specifically to step up a bit? And
Yeah,
take that
and he did. He did a good job. I thought. Shaq had, I think, 1 turnover. He didn't turn the ball over much tonight, so he did a good job. He had 0 turnovers. So, yeah, he's the guy that has to do that. And I thought when Iverson was out and he was playing the point, I thought he did a good job in the first half. Did some really good things.
You mentioned three-point shooting a little bit after that Alabama game. Do you feel like that kind of played a difference today? Obviously, they made 10 to your 4. Do you think your team should have maybe taken a few more?
No, they weren't presented. I mean, it wasn't like we were turning down open looks from 3. The ones that we got, and Shakeel in particular shot him well. I mean, Rocket had a couple good looks. One was just flat. And we need him to be a guy that can make them from us there. I thought Jeffrey's one was a 3 early in the second half. They said his foot was on the line, but he was right there. He's got to look for him. But, we've got to, I don't think that was the big reason that we lost tonight. They made some tough threes, but we gave up too many good looks. Reeves had 3 of them. And Drugy, like one time we covered down early in the second half off of number 4 at the top of the key, and there was no need to. So we got to be smarter about guarding 3-point shooters. And he in the first one of the game by Filder, those were both bad defensive mistakes where we're giving the 2 guys that shoot the best percentage from 3 good looks from 3. They're both at 40% plus, number 1 and number 4.
Joel, go ahead and wrap us up.
Obviously, Ben, I know it's disappointing tonight, but do you even have to say anything to this group? I mean, when you look at how good the league is and how many more opportunities you guys have down the stretch, you talked about the group's character last week, but when you have so many more resume-building opportunities, do you even have to say anything to these guys to remind them of that, or are they pretty mature and know that everything's still in front of them?
Yeah, they know there's a lot left in front of us, but you don't want to, just gloss by the fact that we let a great opportunity with the ball up 8, with less than 8 to go, slip away. We can't afford to do that because we're going to be in a lot of tight games. And so we've got to learn from it. And that's why we've got to watch it and study it tomorrow as a group.
Shakeel, obviously, you guys were in control for about 33 minutes tonight. What kind of happened down the stretch in those last 7 minutes?
I would just say, they wanted it more. They played harder down the stretch. They were hitting shots, and I just feel like we got to do a better job with, capitalizing on our lead. Keeping our composure on the road, and finishing out the game.
We'll go to Andy next. Andy, go ahead.
Hey, Shakeel. It seemed like the offense down the stretch kind of hit, maybe some speed bumps there. What was kind of wrong with the offense when things went cold for the last 6 minutes or so?
I would say we were sticking the ball on one side too long. We weren't moving it. Um, and they honestly they were speeding us up, and we should have just kept composure, like I said, and made plays, moved the ball around, got it down low, but the ball stuck, and that's what hurt us.
They really paid a lot of attention to Iverson tonight. Obviously, he's a big time scorer for you guys. How did you guys try to combat with them? Paying so much attention to Iverson, even doubling him at some points. How did you try to combat it, and do you think you did a good enough job doing it?
I think they did a pretty well job, doing so. But any of our starters, guys off the bench, can score 15 at any given night. We all work, have the confidence to do it. We can be there to back Iverson up when things aren't going as well. But I just feel like they, really focused in on him, and a couple of our players had to step up.
Joe Coleman, go ahead.
Shakeel, the other night after the Alabama game, you were sitting there with me. You were talking about you needed to work on your shot, and then you come out tonight. You had some big shots, especially early in the game. Just, I guess, what was this week like for you as you kind of worked to improve your shooting, and it seemed like it paid off?
Just waking up, earlier than normal, coming in hours before practice, putting the time, on my shot and working on it and staying consistent. It's all about those hours, outside of practice. That's really important, to work on yourself and the things you need to improve on.
Is that kind of a theme with this team? Does that kind of give you some confidence that you guys have bounced back from losses already this year, that kind of give you the confidence you can do it again?
Most definitely. I know we can. We're built for it. I think we work, work never goes unnoticed, and I feel like we'll be able to easily bounce back, this week and, going into practice tomorrow.
John Sokoloff, hop in for a second.
Hey, Shakeel, how do you guys kind of, because you mentioned that, you guys are talented. What's kind of the best way, in your opinion, you think, for you guys to move on from a loss like this, one that was, tough pill to swallow?
Just going into practice, with our heads hot, ready to get to work, right back to it. We got a quick turnaround on Saturday, and, our main focus is that game. I feel like, we just got to have a good and hard practice, to prepare for that.
Steph, go ahead.
You mentioned that game on Saturday. Obviously you guys have lost to Ole Miss already this season in a rivalry game. I mean, how quick do you guys need to shift the attention? And has that kind of been a game you guys have already checkmarked a little bit?
It has to shift quick. Like I said, it's a quick turnaround. We play Saturday. We got to get in there tomorrow. Work on the things we need to work on and learn from. But, our attention shifts to them now, heading to our next practice on our way home. We got to really lock in for that game.
Andy, wrap it up.
Hey, Shakeel, you mentioned Florida played harder or wanted it more down the stretch. I mean, was that fatigue playing a role for you guys, or what kind of factored into it?
Not at all. I would just say minor mistakes. DeRugi, he just, man. I wouldn't. I just think we beat ourselves. At the end of the day, they hit shots down the stretch, but I feel like at the same time we just had some minor mistakes, turnovers at the end, and that's what really hurt us.